Okay, today we're talking about the Singapore-Cambridge O-Level in English Literature. This is the pure subject, not the elective subject. Before we get on to doing all the analysis and what you have to do, let's just have a look at where it is you're heading to. At the end of your studies, you're going to sit for the exam. Now, what we have in the exam are two papers. The first paper is about 1 hour 40 minutes in length, and it will comprise of two sections, Section A and Section B. Section A, you're going to be looking at doing a prose, and that's the set text. So your school will have given you the text that you are going to study, and you will have a question based on that set text. And then you will also have Section B, and that is what we call the unseen section. And that is something that you have not seen before. And that can either be a passage-based question on prose, or it can be answering questions on poetry. Now, this paper is worth about 50% of the marks, and you will answer two questions. You will answer one question from Section A, and you will answer one question from Section B, so two questions. Then you will go back on another day and you will sit for paper 2. Paper 2 is 1 hour 30 minutes, and it's also worth 50% of the overall marks for the O-level paper, and you will be doing drama here. Now this is also a set text. Your school or teacher will have given you the play that you're looking at. And here you also have to answer two questions. You're going to do a compulsory passage-based question, and you are going to answer then an essay question. You've got a choice of two essay questions to choose from. So in total 4 questions over 2 papers. Now, let's think a little bit about what exactly you're sitting on this exam. Each section, whether you're doing your prose here, or you're doing your poetry here, and then you're doing your drama down here. All of these questions are testing to see whether you have the knowledge, let's call it K, and the skills, let's call it S, to appreciate the literature that you're looking at. And we're going to, over the coming tutorials, look at exactly what you need to do in order to demonstrate that knowledge and those skills so that you can get top marks. Okay, so let me just clear this screen first, and then we will have a look in a little bit more detail about how we're going to do that. Here we are. Excuse my drawing, I'm not the world's greatest illustrator. I'd like to use the analogy of a car when we're looking at literature. Okay, so here's a car. When you look at a new car or a nice car, you see it driving down the street and it's great. You just appreciate the way it's going. You don't really give much thought to anything else. It just looks great, and it's a nice looking car. In the same way that we can look at a piece of poetry or a book or anything else, you can read it and you can think it's a great book, but that's all you really think about. Now, when we talk about literature and the literature exam, what we're really talking about is looking at this car and thinking about what makes it good. We might have to look, inside the hood and look at the engine, because it might be the engine that's making the car a great car. We might have to look at the bodywork and see that it's the body of the car which makes it such a great looking car, and it looks great the way it moves. We might have to look inside the car at the interior so that we can really understand why this car looks so good when it's driving down the street. Now, for each of these things, for each of these parts of the car, which in total make it a great looking car when it's driving down the street, to understand it, we have to use certain tools. So what I'm going to say is that we're going to need a toolkit for the engine to break that engine apart and see what really makes it a great engine. We're going to need a different toolkit to look at the inside of the car, the interior, and see what makes it a great interior of the car. And we're going to need another toolkit to really have a look at the body of the car and understand why that contributes to the car being so great. Now, similarly, when we look at a piece of literature, a book, or a poem, we need the same things. The book may be a great book to read, but we are going to look at the toolkits that are needed in order to analyze and break down that book or that poem to understand what makes it such a great book or a great poem. Okay, we're going to break it apart or break it up. So what we're going to do over the coming tutorials is really start looking at the toolkits that you can use for literature. And we will come back to those in due course. Okay, thank you.